Hello, I'm Christina Marlette, creator of Courageous Self-Care, where I love to help women go from running on empty to renewable energy through practices that take courage. One of those practices, or one of the tenets of courageous self-care, is taking radical responsibility. And my favorite practice to help take that radical responsibility is called the Ho'oponopono. It's an esoteric Hawaiian healing practice. And today what I would love to share with you in this video is the background and my understanding from all of my study and practice with the Ho'oponopono. I've run workshops for years on healing Hawaiian dance and using mindful movement to help enhance the energy of this practice. So this video I would like to share today is just the history and the information that I've collected in some of my experiences with it. So I'll start out with where I learned about the Ho'oponopono. I've learned about it from several of my mentors and through some different retreats that I've attended. So the first time I heard about it was at a retreat where we had a vocal coach who helped women open up their throat chakras by being expressive. And she's a musician and a singer and a choir director. And so we did some singing of the Ho'oponopono. So it's a specific mantra, and I'll share a little bit about that with you in a few minutes. And she shared how powerful this practice was with some of her stories that she had experienced. So one of those stories was that she had one of her members of her choir who had learned the mantra through singing it, and that choir member went to a gathering to celebrate the life of someone in their family who had passed. I believe it was the matriarch, and it turned into a huge family feud. The problem was people were saying, I was supposed to get that in the will. No, that was for me. She promised that to me. And it turned into this awful situation. And very often people can let their emotions and let their emotions get the better of them in that kind of situation. And it was just not pleasant to be there. It was getting worse and worse. And so the choir member said, she stopped everyone. She said, would you all be willing to shift the energy here? And so they were, thankfully. She got everyone into a big circle. She taught them the mantra, and they sang it together. And within a few minutes, everyone felt a huge energetic shift. And all of the intense animosity melted and dissipated. And they were able to move through the rest of the experience, remembering the person and being generous. So it completely shifted the situation. That was my first introduction to the Ho'oponopono. Then I heard about it from some of my other mentors, Marcy Shimoff and Deborah Poneman. And that was through a program where one of the calls was with Joe Vitale. So Joe Vitale is someone who was in The Secret. And he teaches a variety of different topics, in particular Ho'oponopono, and he's written several books about it. So I studied those, and a little bit of his story is that Joe Vitale heard about this urban legend where a Hawaiian psychiatrist did this weird thing, and at a Hawaiian prison that was really high security and really awful place to be. And the practice was so effective that the prison closed because there was no one left, because everyone was dismissed and healed. And so he heard this urban legend, Joe Vitale did, and he wanted to know if it was true. So he sought out the man who it applied to, and that was Dr. Hew Len. So now I'm taking some information from Joe Vitale's call and from his books, and you can read more about these stories in those. I think one's called Zero Limits, and that's the one I remember. And so the man that Joe Vitale met was Dr. Hew Len, and Dr. Hew Len's story was true. He did have that experience in a prison. I'll get to that in a moment too. But initially, Dr. Hew Len was introduced to the Ho'oponopono because his daughter had a really painful skin condition, and he had taken her to all the Western doctors, nothing helped. All the alternative practitioners, nothing helped. All the healers, nothing helped. But he heard about this lady named Morna, who is now actually considered a national Hawaiian treasure. He went to see Morna. He and his daughter walked into her office, and he told her the problem, the skin disorder, and Morna took in the information, and then she said, okay, you can go. And Dr. Hewlin was like, what? You didn't even do anything. She said, no, that's enough information. You can go now. And so he thought, well, that was a waste of time. And then he went home, and to his shock, his daughter's skin condition started improving. And he couldn't believe it. He hadn't done anything else. And all of a sudden, after seeing Morna, it had improved considerably, so much so that it actually disappeared within a few days. And so he went back to Morna. He said, what did you do? No one else has been able to help us with this at all, and you didn't even do anything. And so Morna shared with him that it was the Ho'oponopono practice, which was an ancient Hawaiian healing practice. And what Morna is responsible for is taking the ancient practice where people actually had to go see a kahuna or a Hawaiian priest or teacher, and they had to have the Ho'oponopono done to them. And what Morna did is modernize it so that people can do it for themselves. And we are so lucky because it makes such a huge difference. And so she shared with Dr. Hewlin that it has all of this energetic component, but there's also a mantra: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And those are the four most powerful phrases in any language. So when they are combined together, they have very intensive healing power. And Dr. Hewlin was fascinated. He wanted to learn more. So Morna said, come to one of my workshops. And he did. And he thought that she was so crazy once he got there that he had to leave. He couldn't stand it. And he went to another one because he was called back. He felt like he wanted to know more. Again, he left. He couldn't stand it. And that happened 3 times. On the 3rd time, he was actually able to sit through the whole workshop. And then she became his mentor. So he learned everything there was to know that she could teach him about the Ho'oponopono. And then he did have that experience at a Hawaiian prison. So he was a psychiatrist. And this particular prison was very high security, very violent, brutal inmates. The staff turnover was very high. They didn't like being there, of course. Lots of solitary confinement, lots of prisoners in shackles, and it just wasn't a great place to be for anyone. Lots of sick leave, and so they needed some funding. They wanted to get it by having a psychiatrist on staff, and Dr. Hewlin agreed to be there as long as they didn't question his practices. So they needed the funding. They said, come, do whatever you want to do. We need the money. So literally what he did, he went into his office. He didn't have contact with the staff or the inmates, and he would do the mantra over and over all day, every day. He would look at the inmates' charts, and he would say, okay, so this is what's on this chart, and this is showing up in my life for a reason. It's because I have, in Ho'oponopono, it's called a program. So it's like a file running on your computer system that's kind of infecting everything, but you don't know it. It's happening in the background. So in Ho'oponopono, it's believed that everyone has these programs running. We can catch them from other people. We can get them from our ancestors. And they really shift and deplete and mess up the energy that surrounds us. And so it's no big deal. We have these programs because we're human. And the great thing is that we can do something about them. That's taking radical responsibility. Oh, this showed up in my life and I can do something about it. So he would look at these charts, read them, and know that something in him was drawing this experience to him. So he would just say the mantra, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, all day, every day. Within 3 weeks, the atmosphere at the prison had changed so much that people were noticing a huge difference. The inmates were being taken out of their shackles, and the staff was happier. People were sticking around. They didn't do anything different except for hire Dr. Hewlin. And within 3 years, it actually got so good there that, like I mentioned before, they had to shut down the facility because everyone had been pardoned, healed, dismissed, or moved to lighter security facilities. And it was directly attributed to the Ho'oponopono that Dr. Hugh Len was doing there. So that was the urban legend. It was true. And when I heard the call with Joe Vitale, he talked about how you can use it in your regular life. So, for instance, once he got a really nasty email. Oh, and Joe Vitale went to study with Dr. Hugh Len and learned everything there was to know from him about the Ho'oponopono. So anyways, Joe Vitale he received this really nasty email, and his first response was to write one back, but he thought, nope, this showed up in my life for a reason. I've attracted this into my life somehow. And so I'm going to do the Ho'oponopono. So he just sat down and concentrated for a little bit. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, until he felt an energetic shift. He just felt that there wasn't that tension anymore. And then within a few minutes, he received another email. So he never sent anything back. Within a few minutes, he received a new email from the guy who had sent the nasty one. Said, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say those things, and let's move forward from here. That's how powerful it is. And the whole point of the Ho'oponopono is to find peace with something. And in my workshop, I guide everyone through a process of finding out where those energetic cords are that are holding us to people, places, or things that have that frequency that we don't want in our energy field. It might be intense anger, it might be sadness or grief, it might be terror or fear. And what we are actually able to do is we become alchemists. We can change the dark into the light. We can cut that energy out of our field and create space for new, for love, for abundance, for whatever we choose to fill that new space with. And in my own life, I've had some wonderful experiences with the Ho'oponopono. One of them was I was experiencing, as soon as I learned about it, I was really excited to implement it. And I remember one time I had some cramps, and they were quite intense. And so I thought, oh, maybe the Ho'oponopono would help. And so I just repeated it to myself over and over. Within about 5 minutes, they had completely disappeared. So I was impressed. And another experience is I had a client, I work privately with clients as well, and we generally do a session around the Ho'oponopono. And I had a client who had a really difficult relationship with her former husband. They hadn't had a civil conversation for at least a year, which is when they separated, and they shared a daughter. So it was not a great situation. And so we did some movement, we did the mantra, and the next time I saw her, she said, I am amazed. Within a few days of having this, doing this Ho'oponopono practice, I had the first civil conversation I've had with my ex-husband in as long as I can remember. And I know it's directly because we did that experience. So it's truly magical. I hope that has given you an insight into the incredible power of the Ho'oponopono. And I will share with you another video in a few days with some more information about this powerful Hawaiian healing practice. And in the meantime, you can start using it yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for watching, and may this new practice create an excess of peace in your life.